Hello there. If you follow what's going on with Google, you'll know that they keep on changing the rules. Once people think they've sorted out exactly how to make the most out of AdWords, all of a sudden they change everything, and it seems as though you have to start from scratch. One person who can really explain to you what this is all about is Howie Jacobson, who's joining me all the way from the US to speak for a day in Southwark Cathedral on the South Bank of London, near my office. I really think you should join us. And here are some comments that Howie made when I asked him about Google.
So you may have noticed that Google keeps changing their rules, and there's a couple of very good reasons for this. The first is Google is essentially the world's smartest computer. It collects unimaginable number of data points every single day, and it has some of the smartest engineers and mathematicians and computer scientists and philosophers and theoreticians on the planet coming up with algorithms and testing ways to gain more wisdom from that data. So every time they learn something about what a keyword means, about who's searching for it, about who stayed this long on this page, about what words on a web page indicate that the web page is about this as opposed to that. You know, things like, or when people write Apple, are they talking about fruit or computers? All this stuff is stuff that Google is spending a huge amount of time and money getting better at every day. And their big advantage over their competitors is that they have market share. They get 60 or 70% of all searches worldwide, which means they have more data to work with. And they're very aware that the arms race in search is whoever can most effectively and efficiently learn from that data is probably going to continue to have an advantage into the future. Of course, as they make their changes to their algorithms, there's always spammers, people who are just sort of search engine optimization black hats or gray hats, people whose sole purpose is to get their client or get their website on the top of Google, who are going to be trying to game that system. And you know, Google is set up so that the marketplace votes and the best sites make it to the first page. And then there's a lot of people who try to synthetically make it look like that's happening when in fact they're just paying a bunch of people who are doing a whole bunch of extra work, and Google doesn't like that because it tends to skew the results away from value. So as spammers figure out what Google's just done, Google then has to keep changing to deal with them, to get back to its goal of win-win for the website and for Google, and an additional win for the searcher, who's really the most important person in the entire Google universe. Now, there's another reason, that a psychological reason that Google is changing things around so much, and that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of competition for the future of search. You know, things are not going to stay the way they are now. New technologies, new ideas, you know, mobile platforms, all these things are changing how people search, and Google is really trying to be, you know, one step ahead. Imagine 20 years ago when there was no Google, it would be hard to imagine a website with nothing on it where you type in a couple of words and the entire world's knowledge is articulated there and prioritized at your disposal. It would have been hard for anyone to imagine that. And so just so, it's hard for us to imagine now what the future will be. And Google is extremely paranoid about not owning the future, because their history is in 1997, 1998, they went from being a nothing to being the world's most popular search engine practically overnight, because they delivered a slightly better user experience than everyone else. And into the DNA of Google is woven this fear, this sword of Damocles, that being the king means that you live in daily terror of being dethroned by someone else with a slightly better algorithm, slightly better idea. So Google is spending tons of time trying to come up with those better ideas. They're testing betas in markets all the time, all over the world. They're quietly retiring things, trying new things, buying up all sorts of companies who are doing cool things that they think could either inform their core business or might be a threat to their core business. And for all those reasons, Google is changing very, very quickly. And of course, that means you also have to change quickly.